Today I'm going to show you how do I manage reports from CAL, Part 1 RDLC and Word layouts. This video demonstrates which functions in Code Unit 1 are responsible and executed when you run or print a report. To get there, I will follow 3 steps. In the first step, I will introduce the report execution flow. Then in the next step, I will explain the custom report layout table. And in step 3, I will show you different report functions. Let's get started with the first step, the report execution flow. When you run a report, there is the onPre-report trigger, which is the first one that's executed. Now, right before the onPre-report trigger is executed, the application is going to call the hasCustomLayout function. This hasCustomLayout function will determine whether the report is currently using or set up to be using a custom RDLC or a Word layout. And it will then execute one of the following functions. So if the report is not set up to be using a Word or an RDLC layout, then the built-in layout will be used for the report. Now, if the report is set up to be using a custom, for example a Word layout, then the merge document function is called right after the onPost-report trigger is invoked. This function is then going to load the proper Word layout, and it will render the report based on the action from the report request page. This might be a save as PDF, save as Word, save as Excel, preview or print. Now if the report is set up to use a custom RDLC layout, then the report getCustomRDLC function will be called after the onPre-report trigger is invoked. And this function is responsible to load the proper RDLC layout and will use that to render the report. Let's have a look in Code Unit 1 Application Management where we can find these functions. So I will take it into Design and I'm going to scroll to the bottom. Here we're going to find the 3 functions: hasCustomLayout, merge document, and report getCustomRDLC. These functions are executed automatically when you run a report. Now when you run a report, the system is going to verify if the report has a custom or a built-in layout. Now the default layouts or the built-in layouts are the ones that you design when you are working in the development environment. And you can create via view layout an RDLC layout, a default or a built-in RDLC layout, or you can go to Tools Word Layout, you can create a Word layout itself. And these are the built-in layouts. Then one of these two can be selected as the default layout for the report in the report properties using the default layout property. And they are built in the report object. To manage the custom layouts, you need to go into the application itself. Here you can look for the report layouts and there you can create them yourself. So let's have a look. I'm going to apply a filter in here on report 1306, and as you can see there is a built-in RDLC layout that is going to be used. From within the application I can also change this to the built-in Word layout if there is one. Or I can go into custom layout and then use the button on top to create a custom layout for this report. In the next step we are going to have a look at the custom report layout table. When we are in the application and when you have a look at report 1306, you can create a new custom layout for a report which can be a Word or an RDLC layout. Well, these custom report layouts are actually stored in the database. Here in the Object Designer you can see the custom report layout table. Let's run the table and have a look at its contents. Here we see that for report 1306 we have 2 entries. There are 2 custom report layouts. There is a Word layout and there is an RDLC layout. And both of these custom layouts are stored in the table. Let's take the table into Design to have a look at its fields, properties and functions. As you can see, we have the ID of the report, the name, and there is also the company name field, so you can specify for which company a layout needs to be executed. And then we have some blob fields, the layout itself, last date modified and so on. And there is also a custom XML part in case that it's a Word layout itself. There are also many properties in the table, but interesting is that we also have some functions that you can also use yourself to manage report layouts. For example, from within the application, when you edit the layout of a report, the edit layout function is going to be executed. Let's have a look at the edit layout function. So I will go into the application and I'm going to select report 1306. Then I'm going to make use of the edit layout function to edit the RDLC layout of this report. This will automatically launch Report Builder. Once Report Builder has been launched, I can make some modifications, change the layout, change many things. And I can also save the layout, close Report Builder, a question is asked, and the report layout is actually imported back again into the application. So let's have a look at the code in the edit layout function. So as you can see, depending on the type of layout, a code unit is executed, which will manage the RDLC or the Word layout via the appropriate development tools. Let's have a look at the Edit RDLC Report Layout code unit. Here in the code you can see the application is going to launch Report Builder, and then we can create and manage the layouts, and it's then going to import back again the report.rdl file. So similarly, there is also an Edit Microsoft Word Report Layout code unit. This code unit is called from within the application to edit the Word layouts for reports. Both code units are available here in the Object Designer, and they are going to be managed from within the Report Layout table. As you can see in the Custom Report Layout table, there are several functions: Import Layout, Export Layout, Update Layout, which will then trigger these code units to manage the layouts of different reports. In the next step, we are going to have a look at some report functions which are managed from Code Unit 1 Application Management. So let's have a look here at the Has Custom Layout function. And this function is going to determine whether a report is set up to use a custom RDLC or a Word layout, and it will then execute some functions. So the function will return 0, 1 or 2 depending if there is a custom layout or if it's an RDLC or a Word layout. Then it's going to execute the Has Custom Layout function in the Report Layout Selection table. So let's go there and have a look. So here we are in the table, and there we can also see the Has Custom Layout function in the table. This function is then actually going to query the table to find out which type of layout built-in or custom this report is actually using. Let's now have a closer look at the Merge Document function. And this function will load the proper Word layout, and it will render the report based on the action from the request page, which might be save as PDF, save as Word, save as Excel, and so on. So if you have a look in here, you will notice that the Merge Document function will execute a Merge Word Layout function, which comes from Document Report Management. So let's go to this function in the Document Report Management code units. As you can see, this function is going to merge the layout and render it in the appropriate format. The function is going to manage the layout of the report itself, and if we scroll down a little bit, you're also going to notice it will take care of the action and that the user has selected to be able to export the report, for example, to Excel, PDF, or to preview it. In this code unit there are lots of functions that you can work with. Here in the beginning you can see some merge and validate functions that we have available. Then if you have a look, there is also a function convert to PDF. If you look at the code, this function is going to create a PDF file for the report layout. So the Document Report Management code unit is a very interesting code unit because it contains a lot of functions that you can use when you want to manage report layouts. The last function to have a look at is the Report Get Custom RDLC function. This function is going to load the proper RDLC layout, and it will use that to render the report. So again, from the Application Management code unit, if you click on the Get Custom RDLC function, we are going to go towards indeed the Custom Report Layout table, in which we have the same function. And this function is then going to execute, it's going to render the layout. And as you will notice, the layout is going to be returned as a text file, an RDLC text file, because the layout is actually an XML file. So to wrap it up, these were the steps that I followed. In the first step, I introduced you to the report execution flow, which are actually the functions in Code Unit 1, which are executed to determine which layout a report needs to be using. In step 2, I introduced the report layout table, in which the functions are stored to manage the custom layouts. And in step 3, we had a closer look at the different report functions in the code units and tables. So with these steps, I covered the report execution flow. To learn more, please visit the following resources. Thanks for following this short video to explain how do I manage reports from CL Part 1, RDLC and Word layouts. This video in the How Do I series for Microsoft Dynamics NAV is brought to you by Microsoft and Platan. See you in another one.